This is a mock interview conducted by Forum IAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
Sir, may I come in?
Please come in. Nayan.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please sit down. So, Nayan,
Yes.
you have done your B. Jadavpur University Mechanical Engineering,
Yes, sir.
2018. And I am very impressed when I observe that immediately thereafter you joined Hindustan HPCL as engineering officer.
Yes, sir.
And then you migrated from HPCL to Indian Oil.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, due to better career prospect in Indian Oil.
So, if I had to ask you to compare HPCL, BPCL and Indian Oil, how will you compare?
Sir, regarding the business entity from
Overall,
sir, market cap wise, Indian Oil is greater than both BPC and HPC combined. Also, from the perspective of having more number of refineries and more MMTPA processing capacity, Indian Oil is having more than HPC and BPC both combined. According to the geographic expansion, BPC and HPC are mostly confined to the western and the southeastern shores, whereas Indian Oil is having its footprint across the whole of the country. And it is also having a large number of subsidiaries who are working overseas as well, like Lanka IOC, Mauritius IOC. So, overall I believe that Indian Oil is having more.
About the origin, you did not tell me about the origin of Indian Oil versus yes.
Originally, Indian Oil is a government, 100% government owned entity it started, but HPC and BPC were private entities that were privatized by the public nationalized by the government.
Why were these nationalized?
Sir, there were multiple reasons. First, because oil supply was a very critical asset especially after 1973 oil crisis, and also before that, as it was
73. When was Indian Oil Corporation?
Indian Oil was sir before that 1950s it was started, sir. But nationalization of BPC and HPC were done in 1970s.
You are working for Indian Oil. So
yes,
you
sir.
must know it better.
Sir,
these were created because of the war with China.
Yes, sir. Because
and
of
we wanted oil
yes.
in northeast. And that time the oil was not made available by BPC and HPC.
HPC, that's right.
That's why we created a refinery. Which was the first refinery?
Sir, Digboy refinery was the
first. Digboy we took from the Britishers actually.
Yes, sir.
Why do you call it Digboy? Tell me.
Sir, because there were digging of oil and that Britisher was gave orders dig, that's why Digboy.
Have you been to Digboy?
No, sir, I have not been to Digboy.
All right. All right. And what is so special about Digboy refinery? Any idea?
Sir, it can process high sulfur crude also.
No, it's a very small, little.
Yes, sir, it is a small refinery.
It's the oldest refinery in whole of Asia.
Sir, I was not knowing about that.
Okay. I observed that you had taken history as your optional.
Yes, sir.
Tell me something about Indus Valley. Can you name 3 or 4 Indus Valley sites in India?
In India, yes, sir. Rakhigadi is a site in India. And then we are having Alladino is a site in India.
Pardon?
Alladino.
Alladino.
Alladino is a site.
Where is that Alladino?
Alladino is sir in UP near to UP.
UP.
UP, sir. UP.
I come from Uttar Pradesh. I am from UP. I never heard this.
Sir, other sites I will say, sir. Dholavira is a site. Then there are sites.
What is so special about Dholavira and what is so special about Rakhigadi?
Sir, Rakhigadi, it has emerged that it is the largest site now. Previously, we were considering Harappa and Mohenjo-daro as the basis, as the center of the civilization due to the size.
So, this is the largest
Rakhigadi. And Dholavira.
And what else?
Sir, we are excavating it as it is still being excavated. Rakhigadi, still details are emerging from there.
DNA testing was conducted on the skeleton found in Rakhigadi.
Yes, sir.
All right. What else? And Dholavira?
Sir, Dholavira significance is that one of the significance is there is a placard. We have got a script of the Indus Valley.
Script on the seal there is a script.
Sir, it is a
Signage.
public signage that means it gives a clue that maybe that people at large also knew reading and at least reading. So public signage was used.
So what is your assessment? Because you are a student of history, not student because you are a student of mechanical engineering, but you are taken history as your option. What is your assessment about the decline of Indus Valley civilization from this country?
So primarily from the evidence that has been gathered so far, it is evident that there has to be there was a environmental factor in the decline of Indus Valley civilization. There are 2-3 theories regarding maybe there was flooding or shifting of the river or a combination of these factors due to which the food
So let's
supply
take
was
flooding and shifting. So which river got flooded or which river got shifted and where?
Sir, Indus frequently flooded Mohenjo-daro as far as we got the
So forget
evidence.
about Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro is a part of Pakistan. We are talking about now India.
Yes, sir.
The maximum number of Indus Valley sites are in India.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about India.
Sir, India, there is a theory that Saraswati, the erstwhile Saraswati river, maybe it shifted and become, due to a tectonic shift, it became Yamuna. There was a theory in between that it merged with
Yamuna.
It merged with the Yamuna floodplain. So, because the Saraswati river is no more, it is.
Yamuna was a tributary of Saraswati.
Sir, no, it was not a tributary of Saraswati. Means that after a shift, that water of the Saraswati, maybe it came into the Yamuna floodplain,
Sure.
got merged. So there is a theory regarding this.
Okay.
That, yes, sir. Sir, also that there are other factors in the decline.
You see, Saraswati was a very, very mighty river,
Yes, sir.
much mightier than even Ganges.
Yes, sir.
So had that been shifted, the water had water shifted from Saraswati to Yamuna, Yamuna would have become a much bigger river than Ganges.
Yes, sir.
But that is not the case.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, maybe part of it shifted. I am not clear about the details of the.
Okay. What else?
Sir, also that there was means trade got disrupted due to this, as the primarily the Indus Valley civilization thrived because of the grain and the granaries that were there in those cities. So, if agriculture was affected, the total breakdown
So
of
agriculture
trade
got affected because of
this environmental factors, sir.
basically Saraswati river got dried up
Dried up, yes, sir.
because of environmental condition.
Yes, sir.
And because of the platonic movement, the river got shifted. Yamuna, which was a tributary of Saraswati, became a tributary of Ganges.
Ganges. Yes, sir. I was not clear about it.
And what was the name of Yamuna earlier? Any idea?
No, sir.
Dashadravati. Dash means 10, Adra means water channel, Vati means carrier. So which carries about 10 channels of water. And what was Saraswati? Sahastra Adra Vati. Sahastra means 1000, Adra means water channel and means carrier.
Okay.
So it was carrying, say, 1000 channels, it was carrying. And then what was Satluj?
So Satluj is a tributary of Indus.
Shatadra. Shat means 100, Adra means water, Vati means cycle. So all these are basically the Sanskrit name over a period of time, this time. And Satluj was also a tributary of Saraswati. Later on it became a tributary of
Indus.
Indus. Yeah. Okay, tell me something, because let's talk about history. What was the outcomes of first battle of Panipat and what happened to Rana Sanga in the first battle of Panipat?
Sir, first battle of Panipat, sir. First battle of Panipat was, sir, fought between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. So what happened is that Rana Sanga invited Babur in order to defeat the Lodi dynasty, displaced Lodi dynasty, and he wanted Babur to fight him and exploit the whatever wealth was there and leave. But what happened is that Babur stayed back and started forming an empire. So later on, then Rana Sanga turned on Babur, and there was another fight, another war between Rana Sanga and Babur.
Where?
Sir, this was, sir, I am unable
Khanwa.
to. Khanwa, Battle of Khanwa.
So what happened in that?
Sir, in that Rana Sanga was defeated, and Babur.
And then what happened? Where did he go and where did he die?
No, sir.
He was supposed to be one of the bravest ruler of this country.
Yes, sir.
He went to Kalpi and he died in Kalpi. Kalpi is an area, is a town on the river Yamuna in Bundelkhand. All right. And at that point of time, in Babarnama, Babar has written about the bravery of Rana Sanga. And he has mentioned about one more empire of India, which was big and great. What was that empire? Any idea?
Sir, in Babarnama, I'm not able to recall which empire he
You
might
are a
have.
student, you should have read Babarnama. Yeah? No?
Sir, I have not read that.
All
much.
right. That was Krishna Deva Raya of Hampi,
Okay. Vijayanagara.
Vijayanagar Empire.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, now you are a mechanical engineer. There is a debate whether for the long distance we should promote railways or we should promote aviation, and why.
Sir, currently we are promoting aviation by the regional connectivity scheme. Government is heavily promoting connecting the smaller towns and cities by aviation, but the primary focus is still to expanding railways and shifting them to renewable sources so that.
How, or for the long distance journey,
Yes, sir.
should we go in for aviation or should we go in for railways?
Sir,
Suppose here from Delhi to say Mumbai,
Hmm.
or you, since you come from Jadavpur, from here to Calcutta,
Yes, sir.
should we go in for better quality railway services or better quality civil aviation services?
Sir, we should go for better quality civil aviation services.
Why?
Sir, it would require a lot of savings on account of time also, and also that.
So why didn't you go for the bullet trains from here to Howrah?
Sir, even if we go for bullet trains, there would have to be a lot of cost regarding we have to again lay tracks because bullet trains would not run on
You
the.
will be able to carry more passengers.
Yes, sir.
Then
Sir, but currently Indian Railways, the passenger, whatever subsidy we are providing, it is not sustainable. We are cross subsidizing with freight charges, which is why government is able to give such lower costs to passengers.
no, forget about that. I was asking your opinion. What is your review?
Sir, my opinion is that for long distance travel, we should have cheaper air travel so that it would help in bringing both ends of the country much
So
closer.
if that is so, why China is going in for long distance bullet trains only? Yes, they are going in for aviation also, but their focus is basically on railways. If you go to Tibet, from Beijing you can go to Lhasa or to Xinjiang areas also, Kashgar.
Yes, sir. Sir, means complementary to the air travel, we should have another mode of traveling just to have a backup, and to enable that in between intermediary stops can be also catered. If we are going from Delhi
Don't you think for the poor people, for commoner,
Yes,
it
sir.
is better to go in for railways?
Sir, according to
Whatever
the
you do, you will not be able to bring down the fare so that a commoner can afford to travel by air.
Sir, currently we are having much less, around 22,000 is the fare fixed for 1 hour of journey. So, much more rationalization can be done in future if we can put sufficient R&D.
All right. Okay. My last question, since you are from Indian oil, what is this crude crisis at this point of time, and how can we address this issue?
In the current scenario, crude crisis is regarding the supply of crude in world market due to Russia-Ukraine war. There has been some sanctions put on Russia, but majorly it is a fear in the market that oil supplies may get affected as Russia is supplying is a major exporter of oil.
Very good. Very good.
Also, OPEC countries are also there. OPEC countries can also seize this opportunity to drive up oil prices if they decide to restrict the production of oil. So, both of these.
So, what is the solution?
So, the solution is one of the solution is that US is now a major exporter of oil. US can provide a sufficient amount of crude to keep it ticking. Also,
Why should the US do it? It is detrimental to their interest. Okay, मैं सस्ता क्यों दे बेचूं अपना oil?
Sir, in order to drive down the price, because if crude prices.
उसने कोई ठेका उठा रखा है क्या पूरी दुनिया
Sir, for India, we are having strategic petroleum reserves. So, if there is a very high cost of crude, we can revert to that. The petroleum reserve, we
What
can.
else can be done?
Sir, we should diversify the sources of the crude import. We are currently importing maximum from Saudi Arabia and Middle Eastern countries. We can diversify to African countries, to Venezuela, to other countries like Russia also. Russia, we are currently importing a minuscule amount. So, we should explore other opportunities so that we are not affected by any one.
All right. Thank you very much. Please.
So, Nayan Ranjan Das,
Yes, sir.
you have done mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is Carnot cycle?
Sir, Carnot cycle is a ideal cycle to measure the maximum amount of work that can be done through a engine. So, on that we are modeling various practical cycles which are having much less efficiency than Carnot cycle. It is an idealized version that works as a benchmark.
Okay, what is Rankine cycle?
Sir, a Rankine cycle is a similar cycle. It is for refrigeration purposes to measure the same concept for refrigeration RAC purposes.
Okay, what is Brayton cycle?
Brayton cycle is, sir, for gas turbines. It is for basically for turbines and power plant.
Can you define stress and strain for me?
Sir, stress is when we apply a force on any member. So, stress is the reaction that is given on the member due to that force. Stress is the reaction to a force, and strain is the basically the deformation produced due to a force.
You are also a student of history,
Yes, sir.
right? Do you think we are in need of re-narrating our history?
I would not say re-narrating of history, but I would say that we do need some other perspectives on our history. Currently, the perspectives that we are having, largely we are having nationalist historians accounts and Marxist historian accounts. So, I think we should go for some other historian accounts to get a whole picture, like for poor people, women centric history, it's not yet at that level as other elite classes societies history are written. So, if we look at their perspective also, then we can get a whole picture of.
Do you think Shivaji was the first freedom fighter?
Sir, I would not say that Shivaji was first freedom fighter, but he can be seen as a precursor to the freedom movement, as he tried to unite the Marathas under one leadership to drive out the Mughals from their own homeland. So, basically he was trying to protect his homeland and giving his people a chance at retaining their independence. So, he can be seen as a precursor to the independence struggle, but I would not say he was the first freedom fighter, sir.
Who was the first freedom fighter?
Sir, it is difficult to pinpoint any one particular person as a freedom fighter, because there were many people like Tipu Sultan was also fighting on similar grounds. Even Sirajuddin, the Battle of Plassey was also fought on similar grounds. So, there were a multitude of empire kings who were fighting, which naturally gave birth to the freedom struggle. So, it is difficult to.
Do you think Indian history is a history of series of invasions?
Sir, I would not say it is a history of series of invasions. Yes, during the medieval period there have been multiple invasions, but in between those invasions there has been long periods of stability. There has been long periods of stable empires like Delhi Sultanate, like Mughal Empire, like the Vijayanagara Kingdom, Bahmani Kingdom. So, I would say, and in the ancient history we can see multiple large empires under the Mauryans, under Ashoka, later under the Guptas were there. So, these invasions were in between in a transitionary sort of period. So, that does not define the whole of history of India. I would not say it is a history of invasions.
Okay. What is Aryan invasion theory?
Sir, Aryan invasion theory is basically it's a alternative account, it's a theory of how the Indus Valley civilization ended and the subsequent Vedic people, how they arrived in India. So, it gives account that the Central Asian tribes basically they came and they defeated the Indus Valley people, they came in hordes and defeated them, and then they were the people who set up the Vedic civilization and subsequent.
Do you agree with it?
No, sir, because according to current accounts, according to the current findings, it is seen that Aryan people did not come in such huge numbers as an invasion theory, but more in fewer numbers, and they gradually got assimilated with the people living in India. And Indus Valley civilization did not decline because of any confrontation with the Aryans, rather it was basically due to environmental factors it declined. And so, it was not an invasion theory, they came in little numbers and gradually they developed.
So, you have worked in Hindustan Petroleum, then Indian Oil Corporation. Don't you think that it is perhaps high time that we should privatize all these oil companies?
Sir, I would say that we should privatize all the oil companies, keeping any one of them under government control, because in the current scenario, oil is still a strategic asset, because defense sector is heavily dependent on oil. Also, shipping is heavily dependent on oil. Still, we have not been able to shift these to other sustainable energy as of now. So, I think keeping in mind these critical sectors, government should keep any one oil marketing company under its control, and others can be gradually privatized.
Why even one? For example, their assets are located in India.
Yes, sir.
We have oil strategic reserves. So if things come to such a pass that we need them, then we can always overtake these assets and start working. Why exactly do we need to maintain a company in peacetime?
Sir, because there are multiple factors to this. Suppose it is also good for the socio-economic development, like the Ujjwala Yojana that the government undertook. Now that cannot be said as completely a business motive, and also it could not have been done if the company, if government took control of any one company. It took smoothly because it had the government PSUs, oil PSUs under it. So similar schemes from time to time could be undertaken if one company, at least one company is under government control.
Last year, a public sector enterprise policy was announced by the Honorable Finance Minister.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of it?
Yes, the strategic sectors only should be kept under government control, and rest should be privatized.
Okay. Do you think that this whole privatization thing is like selling family silver? We first acquired these assets.
Yes, sir.
Now we are having fiscal strains, we are selling them.
No, sir, I would not say it is like selling family silver, because the reason why we acquired these assets and the current scenario where we are selling is important to know. We acquired these assets because at that time India was in a nascent stage of development, and it was important that government took control of these oil sector, banking sector, so that it could help develop the underdeveloped section, which was a major part of our population then. But currently I would say that we have sufficiently developed that government can give the market all these entities back and can act as a regulator rather than a player in the industry. So I would say it is a natural development, and it is in accordance with the goal with which government had acquired it.
In telecom sector, we have many strong players, including Jio, we have Airtel. Both of them are Indian brands.
Yes, sir.
Then what do you think of the decision to continue to hold on to MTNL and BSNL?
Sir, BSNL and MTNL government has held on because of the strategic nature of telecom industry, that we require some control over it, and also BSNL is currently it is not as profitable to get a good price. So it is having debt, and already the telecom sector is under huge debt. Also the nature of the telecom industry currently, due to the predating pricing and everything else, it is not seen as a very profitable industry in the current scenario. So selling of BSNL at present may not fetch the optimum price for it.
What do you think of the asset monetization policy? Do you know what is asset monetization?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, asset monetization is basically government assets which are lying unutilized. Government is leasing it or renting it out to private players so that they can use it and pay a rent. Ownership of asset is with government only. Government is simply leasing it out so that other people can utilize.
Okay, my last question.
Yes,
You
sir.
were the head boy of your school.
Yes, sir.
If the boys' locker room case had happened during your tenure as head boy, what would you have done?
Sir, I'm not familiar with the boys' locker.
A boys' locker room was basically an Instagram group in which some school students shared obscene pictures of their female class fellows and teachers.
Sir, if such an incident happened, first of all, we should inform the principal, the school administration, and subsequently the families of all the parties concerned whose photos have been leaked, and also the primary suspects. Secondly, these people should be first given an opportunity to explain their position on it, were they involved or not, their account of what has happened, that chance should be given. And school committee should be formed with both students, teachers, and if necessary, counselors, psychologists can be formed to examine these accounts and subsequently take a decision on the truthfulness, and whoever is responsible, then action should be taken in accordance with the law, whatever legal provisions are in.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think honesty is the best policy?
Yes, sir, honesty is, I think it is the best policy.
All the cases.
Yes, sir.
What is the role of religion in Indian politics?
So religion, it is playing a major part in the sense that many parties have been floated on religious lines, may not be strictly on religious lines, but they do resort to using religious slogans and religious imagery to gain vote banks, and so similarly elections are also being fought on similar lines.
So is it good for the Indian electoral democracy?
No, sir, it is not good for him.
What role has caste played in electoral democracy of India?
Sir, caste has also played a similar role in that gradually when the caste people have been organized under one roof, similarly political parties have been formed and they have tried to take advantage of having a same group of
So what has
caste.
been the positive impact of caste-based politics on Indian democracy?
Sir, one of the positive impact is that it has given a voice to the caste, to the lower caste basically, and they have played a pivotal role in some of the elections. This is one of the positives that has come out of this.
Any other positive that you can think of?
Sir, governments that have elected low caste people into the government has got the advice of them, so they can also be involved in policy making.
Can you tell me something about the Biodiversity Act?
Sir, Biodiversity Act has been propounded to help contain and preserve the biodiversical sites, the sites which are declared that they are critical for maintaining biodiversity. So those sites are notified and then protected under this Biodiversity Act.
The place where you belong to, Hooghly, how is it vulnerable to loss of biodiversity?
Sir, Hooghly is basically a river is flowing through it. So this river bank is frequently erosion takes place, and there are some chances of the river shifting its base in the course in the future, maybe by
In terms of biodiversity, I am asking.
Sir, due to the population pressure, Hooghly is the second most populated district in West Bengal. So the huge amount of population is gradually converting the entire area into concrete jungle. So biodiversity is basically being expelled from the limits of Hooghly district.
Do we have an international convention on biodiversity?
Sir, biodiversity, we are having a internationally protected sites are there, under which we are having biosphere reserves. The Man and Biosphere project is there, under which we are designating biosphere.
Under whose aegis it is?
Sir, I am currently unable to recall.
Okay. What is para-diplomacy?
So this I am not able to recall, sir. Para-diplomacy.
Are state governments allowed to have bilateral relations with foreign nations?
So state governments should not have bilateral relations with foreign.
Are they allowed?
No, sir, they are not allowed. It is a function of.
Do they have a
central
say in our international relations?
government. No, sir. International relations comes under central government.
So, how is West Bengal government opposing the Teesta agreement?
Sir, West Bengal government is not opposing Teesta on the basis of international relations, but is opposing on based on the state's development issue. So they are highlighting that if that water, according to the water division policy that the government has signed with the Bangladesh government, according to that, West Bengal will get negatively affected if that much water is diverted.
Can you tell me something about nuclear deterrence?
Sir, nuclear deterrence is the policy that countries should develop nuclear weapons in order for them to act as a deterrent against other countries. So, nuclear deterrence is India has developed nuclear weapons under nuclear deterrence factor.
And why is it? Why has India developed nuclear weapons?
Sir, it has developed because its neighboring countries are having, and Pakistan at the time was also developing, which later they also developed, and there was already existing in China.
Do you think nuclear weapon has protected a full-scale war in the South Asian region, and if we include China also in that, so has it prevented a war?
Sir, in South Asian region, no war has been fought between the nuclear weaponized countries. There has been wars like in Afghanistan and in other countries which are not having nuclear weapons. So I would say that yes, it has protected, as India and Pakistan also has not gone for full scale war due to the nuclear deterrence factor only.
Do you
Also,
think Ukraine war could have been prevented if they had nuclear weapons?
yes, sir. It is one of the major factor that Ukraine had signed off its nuclear weapons to Russia, and there was no mention of Russia. What was to happen if one of the protectors itself turned the invader? So that was one of the reason why Ukraine got attacked.
Should we give nuclear weapons to all the countries in the world?
Sir, I would say that is not advisable, as
Then any country that you leave, any small country that you leave, will be vulnerable to a war or an attack from a larger country.
Sir, that is why multilateral or minilateral groupings are formed, and also military alliances are formed, because if you give nuclear weapon to every small country, they may not have sufficient resources, or they may not have the government capacity to protect proliferation of those nuclear weapons to, say, terrorist groups or other such.
So how many countries should be given nuclear weapons?
Sir, I would say in the present scenario, we should not promote the use of nuclear weapons, and we should
But
go
you
for
only
the.
said that nuclear weapons prevented a war.
Yes, sir.
So we should be giving nuclear weapons to countries.
Sir, it has prevented war, but it is not a go-to action profile for preventing war. Means it should not be the first. It should not be a course of action to prevent war. There are other avenues. We should explore those first.
But why is there such a a stigma against nuclear weapons?
Sir, because there are multiple negative impacts of nuclear weapons also. For one positive effect, if these weapons fall into the wrong hands, or if even in the right hands, if proper procedures are not followed in weaponizing or in maintaining.
It's already
these.
there in the wrong hands. North Korea has it. Iran has the capability.
Yes, sir. So in these cases, there is a chance of much more negative harm being able to fall. So that's why we are not promoting use of nuclear weapon as deterrence.
Okay, then I'll give you 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
You can speak about anything that you want to.
Sir, I would like to speak about my hobby, about watching and analyzing European Soccer League. So I would say that in soccer, it is a truly global sport currently, and India is having a hugely underdeveloped soccer scenario. We have taken some nascent steps in that direction with the organization of Indian Super League, but I feel that government should take a proactive role in developing the soccer so that it could have a major impact on getting sports integrated into the youth, and also as a business opportunity, also as a diplomatic channel, also as soccer is played by the maximum number of countries. It is truly global.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So soccer or football? Because many purists don't like the word soccer.
Sir, as it is a European league, so I would say that we can say football, because in Europe it is said as football only.
Okay. Did you watch the recent Real Madrid versus Chelsea match?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you describe the two legs and what happened in the strategy in both the two legs?
Sir, in the first leg that was played at Stamford Bridge in Chelsea, Real Madrid played a very attacking game and completely outplayed Chelsea. They scored 3 goals, and it was the entire game was in favor of Real Madrid only. Chelsea were unable to defend. In the second leg that followed, that was played at Santiago Bernabeu. In that game, Chelsea were hugely overplayed the game against Real Madrid. They were completely in control from the first half until almost the end of the second half. One of their goals was ruled offside due to conflicting decision by VAR. So I would say they were in control of the match, but in the finishing moments they lost the little bit of concentration, and the Real Madrid, being the elite team, they grabbed those 2 goals at the ending minute and in extra time, and they subsequently won the overall game.
Good. So who is likely to win UCL this year?
Sir, looking at the participants, I would say it is, if only 2 teams can win, either Real Madrid will win or maybe Liverpool can win a close second.
But given the performance with Chelsea, what do you think? The next matches?
Sir, I would say that the Chelsea second leg match was a match where Real Madrid was outplayed due to the tactical strategies played by Chelsea, and that is bound to happen at some stage of the tournament. You cannot predict the strategies, or you cannot be ahead in every game. But the way they won the game at the end, that showed the actual confidence and actual level-headed calmness that the team possesses, which will guide them to the cup.
What is the problem with Manchester United after the departure of Alex Ferguson?
Sir, there were multiple problems. One of them is that they bought a huge number of players that were wrong for their club without taking into account any kind of strategy. Second, they had a rotating membership of managers coming and going who were not given any time to settle in. Third, the fans of the club, they have hyped up managers and players to such a level that it has brought unrealistic expectation on everybody, and they are bound to collapse. Every new manager, every new player are collapsing under those expectations. These three are the main.
What do you mean by a palindrome?
Sir, palindrome is a word which is the same if read from the left or the right, from forward or backwards.
Can you name some Indian names which are palindrome?
Sir, Malayalam is a palindrome.
Sorry?
Malayalam.
Okay.
The word Malayalam is a palindrome.
Your own name?
Yes, sir, Nayan is a palindrome.
How is the German club ownership different from EPL club ownership?
EPL club ownership is basically that they have a membership criteria where the members, there are a number of owners, the residents of the city basically where the club is governed, they are having a stake in it. And in the German club ownership, it is basically a ownership policy, a capitalist type of policy where people are buying the clubs.
So basically they are shareholders.
Shareholders, yes.
And fans generally buy the shares. Okay. Jadavpur University and JNU both often come into news because of student politics.
Yes, sir.
Right. Some kind of student involvement in politics is encouraged and it should be there.
Yes.
But what happens when students get into excessive politics and they lose out on their career also? What is your opinion? Where should we strike a right balance?
Sir, I feel that student politics, it was introduced for students to vent their opinion on matters that were connected closely to the students and not to any general topic of interest. So I feel that student politics should be closely connected to issues that are directly affecting students and not to issues that are have no relation with any of educational, curricular or student bodies. So I feel there should be a cut down of the excessive amount of acts that have taken place in JNU and Jadavpur on some accounts. Like they have protested excessively for CAA, they have protested also some seditious activities have also undertaken. This should not happen at an educational institution.
Okay, all right. How are petrol and diesel prices determined on paper and in reality?
So petrol and diesel prices?
Petrol and diesel prices determined.
Sir, they are determined by the taxes and the international crude prices.
And who fixes them?
Sir, government means currently petrol and diesel are market determined pricing. Nobody is fixing the pricing as such. Governments can determine the taxes that are to be levied, which indirectly brings the prices up or down.
So prices in February and March were quite high of crude oil prices,
yes,
but it did not get reflected in the market prices.
Yes, sir.
What was the reason?
Sir, government had not increased taxes in the month of March and February. So that's why it didn't increase. Now government is increasing, central government is increasing taxes.
No, central government is not increasing the taxes. It is the oil marketing companies which are increasing the prices.
I'm not sure about this.
Any connection with elections?
So there was some allegations that the prices were kept fixed because of UP and subsequent Punjab elections for March, till March. After March and the prices were increased.
Oil bonds are often in news. What are oil bonds?
Sir, oil bonds is basically when oil prices go up very high and it is unsustainable for the users to buy at such high prices. What the government does is it tells OMC, the oil marketing companies, to subsidize, to bring down the prices, and the subsidy that government is providing not by any cash or anything, they are providing in terms of bonds that they will repay in some fixed amount of years, and in the meantime they will provide interest on those bonds.
You have studied in DPS, Jamshedpur and then Angul.
Yes, sir.
Any reason why you shifted?
Sir, this is due to my father's job.
Your father was in?
My father was in Jamshedpur. He was in BOC plant, in oxygen
in
plant.
which company?
BOC, British Oxygen Company.
Okay. Thank you.
Angul, he was in Bhushan Steel. So Bhushan Steel, it is now taken over by
Not liquidated, which has been bought
Tata
over by
Steel. Tata Steel has taken over the plant.
Okay, all right. Thank you.